land of hope and fear.
Underdog PM preaches opportunity and optimism as Shorten launches class war scare campaign.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch and to the start of an 8-week election campaign which could go down to the wire and exhaust us all. So who will the media be barracking for? Well, no prizes for guessing who Sydney's Daily Telegraph won't be backing.
Zombies 2, the horror is back. ALP revives carbon tax from grave.
Yes, when Bill Shorten revealed Labor's climate policy last month, the telly was there with its usual balanced assessment.
Horror show.
Voters wake in fright.
3 years after rejecting Labor's carbon tax and solving the ALP's boats crisis, the dreaded nightmare returns.
So there's no doubt who'll be playing the villain in the telly's pantomime election. But who will it cast as hero? Take a bow, Super Scott, our P-Plate treasurer.
Earn, and away! ScoMo, hero of the hard worker.
Yes, the telly loved Scott's budget. Hardly a mention of debt and deficit disaster, even though Australia now owes more than it did last year, and the gap is growing.
Let's go to our next question. It's from Duncan Storer.
I've got a disability. I've got a disability and a low education. That means I've spent my whole life working on for minimum wage. You're going to lift the tax-free threshold for rich people. If you lift my tax-free threshold, that changes my life. That means that I get to say to my little girls, Daddy's not broke this weekend, we can go to the pictures. Rich people don't even notice their tax-free threshold lift.
That's right.
Why don't I get it? Why do they get it?
Yeah. Look, thanks very much, Duncan, for that question. I think there are a couple of points really to make here. The first is that in not increasing unemployment payments doesn't mean that we've actually made a cut to unemployment payments, which is what Cass has just talked about. And I think it's an important point to make, because those people who are on unemployment payments are on transitional payments before we help those people to get back into work. And I think the key thing here is, what can the government do to assist people? We have increased for 500,000 Australians the ability to no longer be in the second highest tax bracket, to go from 80 to 87. That's true, but in the budget before that, we actually continued to give people carbon tax compensation for those under 80,000, when in fact there was no carbon tax and we got rid of it. So it's all about balance, and we believe we're making appropriate choices that are balanced. We have a progressive tax system.
But
those people
primarily
who earn more pay more tax.
For people earning more than $80,000 a year, that's what you're really talking about.
$4 billion a year, so that the top 25% of income earners can get $6 a week. It's, sandwich and milkshake tax cut without the milkshake, and so that the top 25% of earners get a tax cut. That's $4 billion less to put in to job creation programs or schools and hospitals.
Duncan, you heard what the Minister had to say. Do you have a response to that?
Yeah, it's exactly that. To rich people, it's a Coke and a milkshake or whatever. Right. To me, it changes my children's life. It means that my children have $7,000 more money every year to live on.
That's right.
Low income earners lose more money because every penny we pay in tax is that's money we don't have to spend at the bottom end. People who make $80,000 a year don't know who they are. Well, they don't even notice it, love. We notice that sort of stuff, eh?
So the
really business polite. Perspective.
I've tried to be really polite. Duncan, I'll be harsh in my message. If you're on the minimum wage and with the family, you would not pay much tax, if any at all. Would you? You would not pay much tax.
Sorry, Duncan wanted to respond to that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I pay tax every time I go to the supermarket. Every time I hop in my car.
As does everybody else who goes to the supermarket.
Edouard, a brief response.
Very briefly, what I would say is what we've heard from both Labor and the Greens here tonight is that they want to increase taxes, personal income taxes and company taxes. That's going to put a handbrake on our economy. Now, I have sat down with small business because I'm the small business minister and I've talked to them. One of the cafe owners I spoke to the other day has got a turnover of just over 2 million. As a result of our change, our tax cut on the 1st of July of this year, he will have access to the instant asset write-off, which means he can invest in his business. A $6,000 toaster, which means he can get more customers through his business on a Saturday when there's a bottleneck, more customers through his business because toast is that bottleneck that he needs to clear in order to get more people in. He's going to derive more revenue and he's told me that he is going to put more people on.
So who is Duncan Storer? He's a man who asked a question on the ABC's Q&A about why he didn't get a tax break from the budget. Yes, really. And it wasn't just the Herald Sun that was ripping into him. News Corp's The Australian was also revealing his rap sheet.
Q&A hero convicted for threats to kill.
That front-page story by Caroline Overington followed her front-page exclusive the previous day, branding the Q&A questioner an undeserving drug user who had let his family down.
The truth about my father, the Q&A hero.
So what had Duncan done to deserve this fury? Well, it had all started with this question on Q&A to a panel including Government Minister Kelly O'Dwyer. Before he knew it, and whether he liked it or not, Duncan was starring as a poster boy for the left, the battler the Turnbull budget had ignored. On social media, hundreds of people tweeted their support with the hashtag #IStandWithDuncan. And as his fame went viral, by Tuesday morning the mainstream media were also moving in to build him up or knock him down. The Age sent a photographer to snap him with his kids and claim,
Election 2016. Q&A star Duncan Storer puts a human face on the budget battle.
The Australian also sent its photographer around and hit back with a counterclaim.
Federal election 2016. ABC's budget fairness victim pays no net tax.
By now, the public had also begun digging deep to support him. Also wrote in an opinion piece in the Oz the same day that Duncan had showed
Great dignity
in his replies, despite being treated by some on the Q&A panel with a
Dickensian heartlessness that is hard to fathom.
But Overington also flagged
Claims, now being checked, that Duncan doesn't deserve a cent of your support.
And once those claims from friends, son and stepdaughter had been followed up, it was open season on Duncan, with the story ticking all the boxes for News Corp. Bash the poor, bash the ABC and bash Labor. The perfect trifecta. Here's the front page of the Herald Sun on Friday, savaging an ordinary voter who got caught in the election crossfire.
ABC hero, a villain.
Q&A sob story star exposed as a thug as public donates $60,000.
Duncan Storer, the Geelong man the ABC presented as a new national hero, has an extensive criminal record over 2 decades, including threats to kill and unlawful assault.
And editor Damon Johnson was on ABC Radio with John Fain to defend his paper's actions in turning this man's life upside down.
I think you're being a bully, Damon, and I think you're doing it in today's front page as well. ABC hero, a villain. Q&A sob story star exposed as a thug as public donates $60,000. Another man who quite openly put his own battle with mental illness on national television on Q&A on Monday night. You go back more than 15 years to expose his criminal record, to again bully and vilify him. What are you doing?
Well, I think it's a legitimate point of public debate. If you put yourself on the public stage, and particularly in the middle of an election campaign, questioning government policy, questioning this, I think you're entitled to be subjected to a bit of scrutiny.
A bit of scrutiny?
And this man's son has obviously worked with us on the story, and he had a view on his father. So it was all part of legitimate public debate, in my view.
So is this what now happens in Australia to someone who sticks their head up in public and exercises their democratic rights?